today I'm going to show you how to make this pair of earrings that I'm calling Dainty Shimmer. I couldn't think of a name, so we got another weird name. And anyway, they are dainty, yet there's enough length to them that you can actually see them. They're probably, about 2 inches. Let me get my little bead board so I can give you some perspective. They're lightweight, they're cute, they're dainty, but let's put it here so you can see. Without the ear wire, they're about 1.5 inches. Let's see. You can see how long they are there. So let's see, let's put them on the 0 here. Yeah, they're about 1.5 inches long without the ear wire. So with the ear wire, you're going to get another 1/2 inch at least. So they are, you can see them, they do dangle, they are pretty, but they are dainty and they're elegant and very lightweight and very easy to wear. Anyway, this is what we're going to do today. So let's look at what we're going to need to start this project. Okay, for this project today, you're going to need 2 ear wires. And I am using a silver-plated lever back ear wire for mine. You will also need 4 6mm bicone crystals. This is a Swarovski and it is Montana blue. Then you will need a 3mm bicone crystal. You'll need 24 of them. And this is a Swarovski also, and it is a clear 3mm bicone crystal. Then you will need 15O seed beads and 11O seed beads. I'm using Toho for both of them. One is galvanized aluminum, which you can find as galvanized silver also. And then the other is a metallic bronze. And like I said, they're both Toho. You will need a size 10 beading needle, an 8-pound fire line, and you will need a little over an arm's length for each earring, just to make sure you have plenty. So I'm just measuring it from my fingertips to my shoulder plus a couple inches. And that way I ensure that I have enough thread. Let's go ahead and get started. You're going to start by putting on a series of seed beads to your needle. And you're going to start with 5 15O seed beads. And then you're going to have an 11O, 5 15Os and 11O, 5 15Os and 11O, 5 15Os and 11O. So you have 4 15Os or 4 11Os with 15Os in between. Start with 15O and end with an 11O. Bring them down to the end of your thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, enough to hold on to and make sure your beads are not going to slide through, because we're just going to sew back through them. We're not going to knot them, because when I'm using these little galvanized 15Os, they're difficult enough to sew through without having a knot in them. So I'm just bringing my working thread around to the tail side, and I'm going to sew back up through all the beads on from the tail side. So I'm just going to start with a few at a time here, like this. I'm holding on to my working thread and my tail, and I'm going to pull until they form a circle like this. And then I'm just going to hold on to my circle where my tail is, and I'm going to sew around all of my beads so that I can make this base very secure without having to tie a knot. Now you have to be careful as you pull through, because your tail will pull through your beads, so just hold on to it. And just sew until you get back to where your tail is. Just like that. Now I'm going to sew up to this next 11O, just to ensure that everything's secure and I'm away from my tail to start my first unit. So I'm just going to go back up through all of these 15Os. And with size 10 beading needle and 8-pound fire line, it gets a little bit tight, like this. Now I am exiting. I'm going to exit this little 11O here. So you want to come through your 11O. I'm exiting here. I'm going to pick up 3 more 11-0 seed beads onto my needle like this. I'm exiting from this side. I'm going to go into the opposite side, and I'm going to create 1 unit of right angle weave, just like this. And then I'm going to sew back through this entire unit, 1 bead at a time, to keep my shape of the little cross that the unit makes. So I'm just going to go through each bead individually. If you take more than 1 at a time, it kind of squishes them up, and don't want to squish them up. So I've sewn through the 3 top beads. Now I am going to sew into the bead that I am connected to my circle with, just like this. So now I'm coming out of the bottom bead in my unit, the one that's connected to the circle. I'm going to pick up 2 15-0 seed beads. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and then I'm going to pick up 2 more 15-0 seed beads. I'm exiting this little bead here. I'm going to go into the next 11-0 on my circle, like this, and pull my beads down on top of my circle. Now you may have to adjust your tail and your working thread tension quite often, both of them, because like I said, this one can pull through. It's not going to pull through very easily now that we've already made this little connection, but we still want to make sure that it doesn't get loose. Now we're coming out of this 11-0. We're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads. We're coming out of this side. We're going to go into the opposite side of the 11-0 hooked onto the circle, like this. We have another unit of right angle weave. We're going to sew up through each bead in our new little unit here, 1 at a time. And then back into the connecting bead on the circle. We are exiting this bead right here. Let me back off a little bit. I feel as if I cannot stay in frame here. Okay, so we're exiting this little bead right here. Let's pick up 2 15-0 seed beads and an 11-0 seed bead and 2 15-0 seed beads onto our needle like this. And then let's go from this 11-0 seed bead to this one. Just like this. And pull them down against the first circle we made. Like this. Pick up 3 11-0 seed beads and then go into the opposite side you're exiting from and pull your unit down. Just like this. And then sew back up through all 3 of the beads you just added. Sew through the connecting bead and do it again. The same thing. Pick up 2 15-0 seed beads, an 11-0, and 2 15-0 seed beads. Come into the 11-0 here. And this is where our tail is, so we just need to move it out of the way and make another unit of right angle weave. We're coming out of this side, we're going to go into this side of our 11-0, pull our unit down, and sew through it. Come back through the connecting bead. Now make sure as you do this that you keep everything, the tension has to be good. You want to keep everything nice and neat. Let's do our last little unit here. So we're going to pick up two 15, we're coming out of this little bead here, right here. We're going to pick up two 15-0 seed beads, an 11-0 seed bead, two 15-0 seed beads. And we're coming out of this one here, we're going to go into the first one that we put a right angle weave unit in. So just right into the 11-0 on the bottom of the first unit here, just like this. And this is what it should look like. Just like this. Now I'm just going to kind of arrange it because it gets kind of squished up as I'm sewing. I'm just going to arrange it. Now what I want to do is I want to at least cut my tail off a little bit. I'm not going to cut it completely off because I want to melt it down and I don't want it to slide through until I get everything really secure. So I'm just going to cut it off enough to where it's not really in my way anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and melt it down so that it doesn't slide through. Okay. So now I'm coming out here. I'm going to sew through this entire unit again. Until I come back down into the bottom unit, just to make sure things are nice and secure, set and stable before I make my little dangle in the middle here. Okay, make sure that's secured. I didn't cut my tail off prematurely. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm coming out of this little bottom 11-0 seed bead. Now I'm going to pull the thread down towards the inside of my unit here. Now that our thread is pulled down, we're going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, an 11-0 seed bead, a 6mm bicone crystal, and a 15-0 seed bead, like this. Now we're going to bring these down, and then we're going to go around the 15-0 seed bead and into the bicone crystal, and then into the 11-0 right here, just like this. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to pull my thread secure so that my little dangle doesn't have any slack between the bicone crystal and the 15-0 seed bead on the bottom. Then I'm going to pick up another 15-0 seed bead. I'm coming out of the 11-0 right here. I'm going to go into the 11-0 on my unit. Now I want to make sure, I'll show you real close here, I attached on this side of the 11-0 right here. So now I need to come into the other side of the 11-0. So I'm going to go into this side now of the 11-0 on my unit. As I do this, I'm going to kind of pull my little dangle down so that it's not on top of the 11-0 that I'm attaching to. I want it to be down on the bottom of it. It can go above it, or it can go on top of the 15-0s a little bit, but mostly you want it to hang nice and neat down into the circle, like this. And that's what that should look like. Okay, then we're going to, now that we've got it all secure and it's nice and neat, we're coming out of the little 11-0 on the circle here. We're going to sew up into the top of the little right angle weave unit here. So we're going to go into this bead and then into this one here and exit. Let me back off. Now we're going to add a little outside embellishment from this bead to this bead to this bead. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, a 3mm bicone crystal, and a 15-0 seed bead. Now, maybe that's a little too far. We're coming out of this 11-0 seed bead, we're going to go into the middle one here and pull the 15-0 and the bicone and the 15-0 down, just like this. Then we're going to pick up a 15-0, a bicone crystal, a little 3mm one, and a 15-0. This is what we have. We're going to go from this one into this one up here. And pull it down tight. And again, pick up a 15-0, a bicone, and a 15-0. Go from this little bead you're exiting here into this middle one here. Just like that. Pick up a 15-0, excuse me, a bicone crystal and a 15-0. Come from this 11-0 into this one here. And we'll just do this all the way around our little component here. And make sure as you're settling them in there that they're laying down nice and neat. Nothing's bunching or getting weird looking. Pick up a 15-0, a bicone crystal, and a 15-0. From this little 11-0 into this 11-0. Like this. And again, 15-0, bicone crystal, 15-0, from the middle to the top of the next right angle weave. And now we will join into the one we started in. So we're going to pick up a 15-0, a bicone crystal, a 15-0, and go into the middle, and then pick up a 15-0, a bicone crystal, and a 15-0. We're going to go from this little 11-0 into the top 11-0 we started in, and just the 11-0. Avoid the 15-0 on the other side and pull tight. Just like this. Now, and poof it the right direction here. This is what it should look like, just like this. Now we're going to make a little connection to make our top part of our component. So we're coming out of this 11-0 here. We're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads onto our needle, like this. We're coming out of this side. We're going to go into the opposite side of the 11-0, and just the 11-0, not the 15-0s or anything else. Make sure your last embellishment is tight, that nothing's going to be loose. It's like this. And then we're going to sew up into this unit, so all the way around this unit. Don't go into any of the beads but the 11-0s. Just sew around it. Get to the connecting 11-0 right here, and then sew back up to the top. So we're going to sew through this bead and this bead. Right there. And squish everything to where it looks right. And this is where we're coming out of the top of our little right angle weave unit now. We're going to make another connection, so we're going to pick up 5 15-0 seed beads, and then an 11-0, and then 5 15-0 seed beads. So we're going to do the same thing that we did when we started. We're just going to do a series with 4 11-0 seed beads, the 5 15-0s, and actually we don't need 5, we need 3. We need 3 because we're going to use this one here, so we don't even need 4. So we're going to pick up 5 15-0s and 11-0, 5 15-0s and 11-0, 5 15-0s, and then 11-0, and then 5 15-0s. if I can get them all on here. Okay, so this is what we're going to have. 5 15 O's, 11 O, 5 15 O, 11 O, 5 15 O, 11 O, 5 15 O. So we're coming out of this side right here. We're going to go into the opposite side of the top bead in our little right angle weave connection unit right here, and pull these down into a circle. That's what that should look like. Now we're going to sew all the way around all these beads again until we come out of the 11O that we're connecting with. So go ahead and just sew through all of them. Like I said, with the size needle I'm using, you could use a 12 and you could use 6-pound file line with this too if you want. I just always use a 10, and I prefer 8-pound. So now I'm coming out of the bead that I'm connected with, and this is what it should look like, just like this. Now we're going to sew up these 5 15 O's and exit this little 11O seed bead right here. So just pick it up and sew through all of these again. Like I said, it's a little bit difficult, but you can do it. And now we're going to make a right angle weave unit right here on this little 11O seed bead. So I'm coming out here, I'm going to pick up 3 11O seed beads. I'm coming out of this side, I'm going to go into this side. This, and then I'm going to sew through my entire new little unit I just added. So I'm just going to, sorry, my hand is cramping again. I don't know, it's been doing that lately. But now I have sewed around the entire unit, and I'm coming out of the bead that I started in. I'm going to pick up 2 15O seed beads and 11O, 2 15Os, and I'm going to slide from this 11O up into this 11O right here. Perhaps. There we go. That's what you should have. Now pick up 3 more 11O seed beads. We're coming out of this side. We are going to go into the opposite side and make another unit of right angle weave. Just like this. And secure it by sewing through each bead individually until you get back down into your connecting bead. And then pick up 2 15O seed beads, an 11O seed bead, and 2 15Os. Coming out here, we're going to go into this one right here and pull it down. Then we're going to pick up 3 more 11O seed beads.
Am I ruining your video?
Yeah, you're ruining my video. Be quiet. Okay, then pick up 3 11O seed beads. We're coming out of this side. We're going to go into the opposite side. Garrett?
I'm not doing anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I just want my change back.
Go to your room. Garrett?
Getting us a surprise cameo from whoever's on that.
Go away, surprise cameo.
Surprise cameo from the United States government. Here's some coins.
Coins? Oh, you're throwing dimes at me, yes. Okay, I get it. I thought the surprise cameo was you. Anyway, we're coming out of the bottom of this 11O now. We're going to sew into the entire unit again. and then into the 11-0 we're connecting to, right there. Now we are going to do our other little connection for our sideways bigger bead. So we're going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, an 11-0 seed bead, a 6mm bicone crystal, and then an 11-0 seed bead and a 15-0 seed bead. So this is what you should have, just like this. We're coming out of this side of the 11-0 right here. We're going to go into the same side right here. Let me show you real close. Oop, that's a little too close. We're coming out here. We're going to go into this little 11-0 seed bead here on the same side right here. And we're going to go through that 11-0 and pull our crystal down like this. Now you have to arrange it so that it fits in here okay. Now it's going to, these little 15-0s are going to lay on top of the 15-0s on the side of the 11-0 seed beads on your circle, and that's okay. Now pick up another 15-0. We're coming out here. We're going to go into the 11-0 seed bead here. And then the crystal and the 11-0 seed bead on the other side, just like this. And pull through. Arrange it so it's nice and neat and there is no slack. This is what this should look like. Let's see if I can get even closer. Just like this. Now pick up another 15-0 seed bead. We're coming out. We need to go through the 11-0 right here. Also, not just the bicone, but you have to come through the 11-0 on this side. So now I'm exiting the 11-0. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the circle here. And bring it down tight like this. Now, I am coming out of this little 11-0 seed bead right here. I'm going to sew into this entire unit here. Well, actually, I'm just going to sew into the side arm and then the outside arm right here. Just like this. So now I am exiting this little 11-0 seed bead on the side of my new little component I've made here. And I'm going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, a bicone crystal, a 3mm, and a 15-0 seed bead. I'm coming out here. I'm going to go into the 11-0 here between my two units and just slide through just the 11-0s. Pick up a 15-0 seed bead, a 3mm bicone crystal, and a 15-0 seed bead like this. I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to go into the top one right here. And then, now that I'm exiting this top 11-0, I'm going to make my little loop to connect my ear wire to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 6 15-0 seed beads onto my needle. I'm coming out of this side. I'm going to go into the other side of the 11-0 right here. And I'm going to pull a little loop down around like this. Now I'm going to sew back through this loop a couple of times just to make sure it's nice and secure. Actually, I'm just going to do it once on camera, but you can sew through it as many times as you'd like. Of course, earrings don't get as much pulling on them as some other things do, but I like to make sure wherever I'm going to have a clasping or any kind of connection that we have some good reinforcement. So just sew through and then sew back through the 11-0. You can sew through that, like I said, as many times as you want. Once you're exiting the 11-0 again, we're going to finish this side. So we're going to pick up a 15-0, a 3mm bicone, and a 15-0. We're coming out of this little 11-0 seed bead. We're going to go into the middle 11-0 seed bead, right here. Then we're going to pick up a 15-0 and a 3mm bicone crystal and a 15-0, and we're going to go into this one right here, the outside here, just like we've been doing, just like that. And now we're going to secure this by sewing through this entire, I'm just going to turn it over and sew through this entire little unit here. Make sure your last embellishment is not loose. Keep good tension on it. And then just sew all the way around this unit. And when you get towards the very inside of the unit here, like this, we are going to tie a little half-hitch knot on the thread bridge here. Oops. Go down into here. I'm going to try to make sure my thread doesn't get over any beads, and pull a little half-hitch knot. See where I'm at here. This is proving to be rather difficult, and it shouldn't be. A little half-hitch knot right there. There we go. And now I am going to sew into this one here. You can sew around this unit, sew back into your work, whatever you want to do, as much as you want. That's fine. For the sake of my video length, I'm going to cut my thread. I'm going to leave a little bit of extra length so that I can use a lighter and burn it down into a little blob, and that way it won't slip through the beads, and it serves as a knot on its own also. And then I'm just going to kind of push it in, just like that. Now I'm going to grab my ear wire, and on my ear wire there's a little loop right here. Back off, that's way too close. And let's open this little loop like this, nice and open. Maybe not quite enough. Just from side to side, I'm going to slide on my ear wire or my earring. And then I'm going to close my loop. And you have a nice, very delicate, most sophisticated pair of earrings. They're lightweight. There's enough length to them so that you can see them, but they're not huge and overwhelming. They're just kind of a cute little pair of earrings. They kind of look like sapphires and diamonds. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you make a pair. Be creative. See you later.